form. So I will read this words and translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasa tato jaya mudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtuki shunvatam swakatha krishna punya shravana kirtana hradyantasto hi abhadrani vradhanoti shruhatsatam. So I will recite the shlokas 3 times, and after that you please repeat. Sonupashta Sonupravishto Bhagavansya Cheshtarupena tam ganam Binnam Sanyojayamasa Suptam karma prabodhayan Sonupravishto Bhagavansa Cheshtarupena tam ganam Binnam Sanyojayamasa Suptam karma prabodhayan Sonuprasto Bhagavansa Cheshta Rupena tam ganam Binnam Sanyojayam Asa Suptam karma prabodhayan. Please recite.
So anupravishto bhagavamsa chestra rupena tam ganam bhinnam samyojayam asha suptam karma prabodhayam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So anupravishto bhagavams cheshtarupena tam ganam innam samyojayam asha shuptam karma prabodhayan. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sonupravishta Bhagavan Cheta Rupena Tam Ganam Binam Samyojayam Asa Sukta Karma Prabodayam.
Sonupravishto Bhagavams Cheshtarupena tam ganam Bhinnam samyojayamasa Shuktam karma prabodhayan.
Hare Krishna. Sonu pravishto bhagavasho Shashtarupena tagam Bhinnam sayoja Asa suktam kalpa bodhaya. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else want to recite? Okay, so let us read word to word translation. Saha, that. Anupravishtaha, thus entering later on. Bhagavana, the personality of Godhead. Cheshta Rupena, by his representation of Atem, Kali, Tam, them, Ganam, all the living entities, including the demigods. Bhinnam, separately. Sanyojayam, asa, engaged to work. Suptam, sleeping. Karma, work. Prabodhayan, enlightening. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, when the personality of Godhead entered into elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened into different activities, just as one is engaged in his work after awaking from sleep. Purport. Every individual soul remains unconscious after the dissolution of the creation and thus enters into the Lord with his material energy. These individual living entities are conditioned souls everlasting. But in each and every material creation, they are given a chance to liberate themselves and become free souls. They are all given a chance to take advantage of the Vedic wisdom and find out what is their relationship with the Supreme Lord, how they can be liberated, and what the ultimate profit is in such liberation. By properly studying the Vedas, one becomes conscious of his position and thus takes to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord and is gradually promoted to the spiritual sky. The individual soul in the material world engaged in different activities according to their past unfinished desires. After the dissolution of particular body, the individual soul forgets everything but the all merciful Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart as the witness. The super soul awakens him and reminds him of his past desires. And thus he begins to act accordingly in his next life. The unseen guidance is described as faith, and the sensible man can understand that this, this continues as material bondage in the three modes of material nature. The unconscious sleeping stage of the living entity just after the partial or total dissolution of the creation is wrongly accepted as the final stage of life by some less intelligent philosophers. After the dissolution of a partial material body, the living entity remains unconscious for only few months. And after the total dissolution, the material creation, he remains unconscious for many millions of years. But when the creation is again revived, he is awakened to his work by the Lord. The living entity is eternal, and the wakeful state of his consciousness manifested by activities is in his natural condition of life. He cannot stop acting while awake, and thus he acts according to his diverse desires. When his desires are trained in the transcendental service of the Lord, his life becomes perfect and he is promoted to spiritual sky to enjoy eternal awakened life. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. So before I explain these words, I want to take blessing of all the Vaishnavas present on this call. And this is actually for my own benefit. So first I will like to say what is going on here, because this whole topic creation is like we are discussing about Sarga and Visarga actually. So the primary creation by Lord Vishnu is the Sarga. and the secondary creation by Lord Brahma is Visarga. So this Sarga and Visarga takes place again and again. So this creation, maintenance, and then dissolution, and after dissolution again, this whole cycle is going on for time immemorial. And so these things goes on in the creation. How many times creation has taken place, we do not know, and nobody knows actually except Lord Krishna. And this is not the only universe. There are millions and millions of universes floating around Lord Vishnu, and we can see Mahavishnu. He lies down in Karna Ocean, which is in the spiritual world. So in Karna Ocean, when he breathes, he inhales all the universes in his abdomen. And then when he exhales, then all the universes come out from the skin pores. So we can imagine. And he inhales. After this whole creation is completely, it goes in the dissolution. So that's like whole life of Brahma, which is 1,000, like 100 years of Brahma's life. And one year of Brahma is 1,000 these yuga cycles. So we can imagine how long is the trillions of years. Please try again. So he remembers so many. Krishna remembers all these, all the jiva souls. He remembers everything, but nobody else remembers all these things. So we can imagine how Krishna creates. This is a complex process actually, but Krishna does it for all of us. He wants all the jiva souls to come back to his dham. I was hearing a class by Radha Govinda Maharaj, and he says that we were never with Krishna because once we go to Krishna, we don't come back. So actually we are till now, continuously coming, going, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So these cycles we are passing through. Ultimately, Krishna has become so merciful to all of us, especially devotees, that he is given a chance in every time we come here. He gives us chance to become a devotee and come back to him, remember him and do the devotional service and go. He gives us chance, but many times, we don't take full advantage of that chance. And again we go to this cycle of birth and death. So we can see the Krishna Swarupa, what he is. He's Sata Chaitanya Ananda. He's full of eternity, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. So how this, all the Mahatma, we are reading about the creation here in this chapter. So how the creation comes around. So Krishna's Chita Shakti, which is the Shakti of knowledge, his knowledge, from that Chita Shakti comes the Prakriti. Prakriti comes from the Chita Shakti of knowledge. And from Chita Shakti, from the Prakriti comes total material energy, which is called Mahat Tattva. So Mahat comes from the Prakriti. So, and we read yesterday, Archana Bhakti Mataji explained very nicely about the elements, how there are 23 elements. And so 23 elements has Mahat Tattva, which comes from the Prakriti. And then there is false ego and mind. And then there is 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, and there is gross elements, earth, water, fire. This is known as Pancha Mahabhut. And then there are 5 gross senses, which is called Tanmatra. So this Sarga Visarga goes on like that. So this is the process of creation. So from the Prakriti, first one is developed, is Mahat. And so when the Mahat is there, then Prakriti is Mother Nature and Purush is Lord Vishnu. So from what is the Mahat? Actually, Mahat is the intelligence and then reasoning and the judging capacity. So these things actually makes the Mahat. So Mahat is the first product actually which is developed, and it is in unmanifested form known as Avyakta. And from then what happens when it is glanced by Lord Vishnu, the Purusha, then it becomes Vyakta. This becomes manifested at that time. And so from Avyakta, From unmanifested, it becomes manifested. And then what happens? The Mahat starts attaching itself to I and mine. So in the Mahat, this kind of thing comes, because many times in our life also, we all the time think it's my body, my house, my wife. So Mahat also thinks that way. So then when I and mine things comes in him, then what happens? There is development of ahankara or the ego. So what is the ego actually? Differentiation and the discrimination. So these things takes place. These things comes up in the picture. So there is separation of you and me, like we see in Bhagavad Gita. The Rashtra was saying, my son and Pandu's son. So then this is the differentiation. They both should be his sons, because he is also his father's bigger brother. So he should think about that they are also my kid, rather than say separately asking how is my sons and how about the Pandavas, the son of Pandus. So this is the ahankar. So from Mahat comes ahankar. And from ahankar, what comes? The three gunas of this material nature. Satgun, Sadgun, Rajas, Satrajas, and Tamas. So these three gunas are developed then. So from Sattva and Rajas gun, what develops? The five Gyanendriyas develops, sense organs like ear, eyes, nose, tongue, and the skin. So these are the five Gyanendriyas, knowledge acquiring senses. And then the five Karmendriyas, which is known as five motor organs, they are also developed. They are mouth, hands, legs, genitals, and anus. So these are the five Karmendriyas. So this is five Gyanendriyas and five Karmendriyas. They develop from the Sattvagun and Rajagun. And from Tamogun develops the five elements, which is known as Tanmatra, and five Pancha Mahabhut. So Pancha Mahabhut is earth, water, air, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Ether is the sky. So these things develops. So, and also develops the five Tanmatras. What are the Tanmatras? Tanmatras: sound, touch, vision, taste, and smell, known as Shabda, Sparsha, Roop, Ras, and Gandha. So these things are also developed. So this is the history of how these elements develops actually. And for sound actually to produce sound travels, like we see in the Bluetooth, nowadays, Bluetooth technology. So it requires a medium. So this medium is ether medium, goes and ether needs space. So this is sky is called is one of the part of the Pancha Mahabhut, which is the ether. So ether is the medium for the sound. So these Pancha Mahabhut are the air. From air, what comes? When we feel the air, on our skin, what happens? We see so good in the morning, and in the evening, nice fresh air. We go for walking. So the touch sensation comes from the sparsha, air by the skin. The skin is our part, our body part, and from water comes taste. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the taste of water. So this is the rasa. And we take the rasa by our tongue. And then comes the fire. From the fire, how we see the fire? By our vision, by our eyes. So this is the rupa. Like yesterday, Mataji discussed that even we have eye, we cannot see in the dark, complete total dark. Even somebody is in front of us, we will not be able to see, or something is in front of us, we will not be able to see it. So even we have eye, we cannot see. Eyes are useless unless we have the light. So, and then next is the ether or sky. So the sound goes through the sky and we hear it from our ears. And the last is the earth. Earth, we smell. Earth, gandha, it comes through our nose. So everybody, like when I go to India, when I get off the plane, I heard the smell from the earth actually is quite different than what we can smell here. So this universe is so big, we cannot even comprehend, not even think, how big it is, just this universe, Earth planet. So in the Shastras, it says that it is 500 million yojan. So we can imagine how big it is. 1 yojan is 4 miles. So it's a 200 million is the width of this Earth planet. So it's very big. So excuse me. So we just finished 5th chapter, and in the 5th chapter, at the end of the 5th chapter, we discussed about these 23 elements and Mahatattva and Ahankar and all these tanmatras and gross elements and senses and mind. This all we read and we discussed today also. So this actually creates the creative activities in this universe when the Lord wants to create this material world. But what happens actually when dissolution takes place, these elements actually where becomes inactive because they are not helping each other. They are not active. They are active only by the mercy of Krishna and our Lord Vishnu. So this creation activity completely suspended at that time when dissolution takes place. And that's why we have read the prayers by the controlling deities, the demigods, which controls these elements, And we read it in last 5th chapter on verses 39 to 51. So now we are starting the sixth canto yesterday. So here Maitreya Muni is describing how Karnodakshai Vishnu is responding to all the prayers of the demigods, which is by the 23 elements, those prayers and what he does for them. Because Krishna actually reciprocates with all his devotees, and he reciprocates according to our own prayers, our bhakti, our sadhana. So he responds according to that. So verses in this chapter, verses 1 to 10 actually tells us about development of the gigantic universal form. And this universal form is very important actually. And this creation of this material world is very important because creation is described, and this universal form is described in so many chapters, so many cantos also, first canto, second canto, third canto. So this is all through Bhagavatam is described. So it is little bit technical, but we should try to understand how this actually takes place and what happens. So in these shlokas, actually 1 to 10 shlokas, they are not in chronological order. And so the proper order is first what happens, the Karnadakshai Vishnu actually remembers the prayers of the demigods. And he sees the creative functions are suspended. So actually, because those elements are not in the mixed stage, like yesterday Mataji told about, it is like a dough, for the dough, we have to put the flour, then you have to put some water and some salt and some butter, things like that to make the dough. So all elements are there, but they are in unmixed stage, so they cannot do anything themselves. So here it shows actually to us that how Lord is important in every step of creation. It's not the demigods who does it, or it's not some other strength, which it does it. It's all by the mercy and will of Supreme Lord. So everything is dependent in this material world on Supreme Lord actually. So what Lord does actually, how he reciprocates to those prayers, that he sends his Vivrat Shakti. Vivrat Shakti is also called a cohesive energy. So that actually, that energy, when it comes to the elements, that elements actually all amalgamated, they get all together and they form a golden universal egg. So this egg actually comes out from skin pores of Karnadaksha Vishnu, and those golden eggs are floating all in the Karana ocean for trillions of millions and trillions of years, till Brahma sleeps. Because after Brahma's total dissolution of this universe, after his whole life, like 100 years of his life. So after that, there is long period of dissolution. And so those golden eggs are there for so long time. And then that golden fetus actually is there for so many years, and all the living entities are within that golden egg for thousands of celestial years in Karan ocean. And then what happens when Brahma is born again from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu? Then Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu actually comes inside that golden, and then from his navel sprouts the Kamal Nal, or the stem, lotus stem, and on the top of lotus stem, Brahmaji is sitting there. So, and then all the 14 planets actually comes in that canal. So this is the process. Actually, this universe is built. So Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters the golden universal egg and give it his life. So all the living entities, including the demigods, actually, they all gets enlivened, because they get enlivened because they were in dormant stage before. But once they get the power of Supreme Lord, then they get enlivened, as they are awaking from the sleep. Like we get up in the morning, we get awakened, and then we get awakened from sleep, and then we start our day-to-day activity. We brush, we take shower, we do this, somebody go to job, somebody goes to their business. So this all activity starts from there, as described in this verse. So this is the procedure how this material world take place. So in the beginning, the demigods of the personified elements, actually all 23, actually they glorified the unparalleled shelter of Lord's lotus feet. So to make Lord happy, we have to glorify the Lord all the time. Krishna gets very happy when people take the glorification of the Supreme Lord. So that's what we learn from the demigods, what they do, how Lord gets happy and how to make Lord happy. Because the goal of our life is to make Lord happy, give him the pleasure. And then we will be very happy by that. By taking shelter, how we can take shelter of the Lord? Because people say, oh, we should take the shelter of Supreme Lord. But how we take shelter of Supreme Lord? By performing our devotional service. And later on, we read that the demigods actually requested Lord that although we wish to serve you, but we are unable to act for your transcendental pleasure, because we are conditioned souls, in the material life, and we are acting according to the modes of material nature, the 3 modes of material nature. So all the demigods actually requested that please advise us what we can do, how we can do, because they were all separate and they were not amalgamated. So they say, so we can maintain ourselves and without any disturbances. That's why the prayers was done by demigods. And later demigods were saying that, oh Lord, you have no source. Krishna is no source, and he is the superior. No one is superior to the Supreme Lord also, and Krishna is unborn. So when Lord here heard this request of the demigods, then what he did, he started creation, which was suspended. Then when he sent his Birva Shakti, then whole creation process actually resumed. So this suspension of creation actually demonstrates that how we are fully dependent on Krishna actually for every step of all the things in this material world actually happens with the sanction of Krishna. Not a single blade of even grass can move without Krishna's sanction. So it is not by the potency of demigods or potency of anyone else actually, but only by the Supreme Lord's potency. So we will go to our shloka today, translation and purport, and try to explain what it means. So thus, when the personality of God had entered into the elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened in the different activities. So when the Supreme Lord Karanadaksha Vishnu actually came in the element, entered in all the elements, then by his energy, he entered in the elements. By his energy, the known as Kali Devi or Durga Devi, and then then by presence of that, actually all the living entities were enlivened, and they started performing the different activities. Just as one is engaged in his work after awaking from sleep. So when we awake from sleep, actually, we start doing our daily activities. Like devotees start chanting, and the karmis actually keep sleeping till 8 or 9 o'clock. So that's why Prabhupada actually advised all of us to get up in the Brahma Muhurt before 4 o'clock. And in our Shastras also, it is explained is that Brahma Muhurt is the best time to worship, to chant the Supreme Lord, because Brahma Muhurta we can concentrate much more than what we will do in other time. That's why Brahma Muhurta, it is known as Brahma Muhurta. Brahma is the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So this all is the different realizations of the Supreme Lord. So this is the actually time for the Supreme Lord. And then many people get up late, between 6 and 9. 6 and 9 time is the known as Deva Muhurta. So it is time for the demigods, actually. So we should try to chant in the morning only in the Brahma Muhurta rather than in Deva Muhurta. And many people I have seen, many people sleep till late, wake up at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, like that. So that time, actually, from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock time is known as Rakshas time, Rakshas Muhurta. So that time is not good for our bhakti, actually, or sadhana. And after 12 o'clock, if somebody gets up and does his activities, so that time is Pichas Muhurt, Pichas time, actually. So actually, best time is the Brahma Muhurt, and we should try to get up in the morning and chant with the devotees. There are so many groups now for chanting. In Philadelphia also we have one, and many people chant together. So that is the best thing to do in the Brahma Muhurta time. Later times are not good, and many people, many times we think, oh, my remaining chanting, remaining japa I will do in the evening time. Actually, evening time from 7 p.m. to 12 midnight, that's like in the 7 o'clock, that known as twilight time. But twilight time, we know how it works. Everybody wants to enjoy that time. That time is the worst time, actually, because we see people come, eat, they go to restaurant, all the karmis, they go to restaurant, they eat, they want to enjoy sex, they want to go to clubs, they want to drink wine and all those things, all the bad activities happens between 7 and 12. So actually we should avoid that time. And so we should read at that time here. So that's time for that, but not for chanting. Chanting should be done in the morning. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing it's little relatively longer purport, but Prabhupada actually explained very nicely. Every individual soul remains unconscious after the dissolution of the creation. So this dissolution actually takes a place many, many times. There are 4 types of dissolution explained in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are 2, like Nitya Pralaya, which is the Pralaya for happens in Nitya Pralaya happens every day. in our life, like we are getting old slowly, like we get a child's body, then youth comes, and then old age comes, and so every day we are dying little bit, so this is known as Nitra Pralaya. And then there is Atyantik Pralaya. Atyantik Pralaya is the people, who liberates, attains liberation through knowledge, Gyanis. Gyanis, what they do, they 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 read so many books, they get so much knowledge, and by knowledge they want to, what is the ultimate goal for them? To merge with Supreme Lord. So they go to Brahma Jyoti. So in Brahma Jyoti, their existence is finished, so they don't get any birth again, but they don't enjoy also. This kind of mukti is known as the Sayuja Mukti actually. So this is not good kind of mukti. Other thing, the two main kind of dissolutions are Naimittic Pralaya and Prakratic Pralaya. Naimittic Pralaya happens after the one day of Brahma, which is one day of Brahma is 100, is 1000, these yuga cycles. So at that time, when Brahma's day is finished, what happens? There is rain for 100 years. No, sorry, the first sun gets very hot, and it gives like, there are 7 suns on the sky. It gives so much heat, so everything is burned down. And then there is another 100 year for rain, continuous rain comes. And so everything is gone, up to Maharlok. Up to Maharlok, everything is burned and destroyed. And then again there is creation happens. So this is the Naimittic Pralaya. And then there is Prakratic Pralaya. Prakratic Pralaya comes after the Brahma's death. One Brahma's life is about 100 years, and we can see how is Brahma's one day. So we can imagine how is the 365 days in 1 year, and then Brahmaji lives 100 years. So it's a trillions of years. After that, 3 trillion 40 billion. So this is the age of Brahmaji, life of Brahmaji. So after that, this pralaya comes. And this pralaya comes, then there is so much drought and so much suns and heat, and everything burned out. And then there is 100 years of wind and rain and everything. And sky gets gray. And then there is wind, and then there is rain for 100 years. So actually, like Brahmaji's whole night, which is another 3 trillion 40 billion years, at that time, all the Jiva souls are in the golden eggs lying there for so many years. So this is the dissolution actually. So individual soul remains after dissolution of the creation, and thus enters into the Lord with his material energy. So what is the material energy? We all are in the eggshells, and material energy is the Durga Devi. These individual living entities are conditioned souls, everlasting. So we are also souls, part and parcel of Krishna, and we are everlasting. That means we are also eternal actually. Our body is temporary, our body is perishable, but our soul is not perishable. We have soul for millions and millions of lifetimes actually. We don't know how long we are existing. Our soul is existing actually. Our body may perish, but our soul is there. So actually there are two kind of living entities, Nitya Baddha and Nitya Siddha. So Nitya Baddha are the eternal people, live with Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan or the Vaikuntha Loks, and they come here to help Lord in his Leelas. And then there is, those people are Nitya Siddha, sorry. And Nitya Baddha are the people, who lives in this material world, and they are just suffering, going after Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi all the time, and they take birth again and again, come back. So they are the Nitya Baddha people. And but in each and every material creation, they are given a chance to liberate themselves. So Supreme Lord is so merciful that in each and every creation, we get chance to liberate ourselves. Krishna will actually, there are so many 84 lakh yonis. There are so many times, we take birth, they get different bodies in this material worlds. Some are aquatic, some are plants, and some are human beings, 400 types of human beings. So there are so many different varieties of the souls, jiva souls. And Krishna gives us chance, and ultimately we very rare to get human form of body. So when we are in human form of body, we are very lucky, because only in the human form of the body we can get liberation. We can go to Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha Dham or a spiritual world. Otherwise, in other kind of lives, we cannot think about Lord, we cannot get liberation actually in other lives. So human life is so rare and so precious actually, that we should take full advantage of it. And Krishna is giving us chance in this life, and to that we can become free. They are all given a chance to take advantage of Vedic wisdom. Krishna has given us this, all the Vedas and all the Puranas and Srimad Bhagavatam, who is in the form of Krishna himself actually. So we have to find out what is our relationship with Krishna, with the Supreme Lord, and how they can be liberated, and then what is the ultimate profit of this liberation. So actually here Prabhupada is writing about the Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, and Prayojan. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Sambandha is what is our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Then Abhideya is how we can revive that Abhideya, like how we can do, like devotional service is the medium by which we can go to Krishna, we can get liberated. And then there is Prayojan. What is our goal? Our goal is to get the love of the Lord. So when we'll start loving the Lord, Prema Bhakti, that is actually our goal. So a few days ago, we were discussing about the Gopal Bhatta Goswamis. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami's deity were Radharaman. So Radharaman ji is actually in Vrindavan Dham, who is in the form of original deity. They come by himself, deities came, because the Sambandha deity is the Radha Madan Mohan, and Abhideya deities is Radha Govinda, and Prayojan deities are Radha Gopinath. And all three deities actually from Vrindavan, they were taken to the Rajasthan, because King Aurangzeb was actually breaking all the temples, demolishing them, and so all the devotees actually were very much concerned, and then they were moved from Vrindavan to Rajasthan. But Radharaman deities stayed there, so they are the original deities of Vrindavan. And also, the one beautiful thing in Radharaman is it has the beauty of all three, because Radharamanji's foot looks like Radha Madan Mohanji's foot exactly, and the Radha Govind's chest and abdomen is just like Radha Govindaji, and Prayojan deity is Radha Gopinath. So Radha Gopinath's face is equal to the face of Radha Ramanji. So Radha Ramanji has beauty of all three these main deities. So in the Vrindavan, if we go and if we can not see all the deities, we should at least see Radha Ramanji deity. And Radha Ramanji is so beautiful, and it has all the beauty of all three main deities of Vrindavan. So we should actually do the darshan and take his blessings. So by properly studying the Vedas, one becomes conscious of his position. So if we study the Vedic literature, then we can know, that what is our position. We are the Jiva souls, and we can be liberated only by devotional service. Thus, takes to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, and gradually promoted to spiritual sky. So if you perform transcendental devotional service to the Lord becomes happy and takes us to the spiritual sky, takes to his dham. So that is great chance for us to take the shelter, that we have all taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada is pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, came from a spiritual world for all of us, and he worked so hard, wrote so many books, so all of us actually can take advantage of this great spiritual science and go back to Godhead. So the individual souls in this material world engage in the different activities according to their past unfinished desires. So we have so many desires actually, and that is the main cause we get birth after birth to fulfill the desires. And according to those desires, Krishna gives us our next birth and next birth and next birth. So that's what comes because of our unfinished desires. Our desires never gets actually fulfilled because one desire we try to fulfill and 10 more desires pops up. Like we see in the sea, how many waves comes, one wave goes and so many other new waves comes, never stops. So these desires actually makes the grooves in our brain, our memory, in our mind. So the more we desire, the more grooves gets more and more deeper. So that's why many times, we hear these material songs, the cinema songs. So they take so long time to go away from our brain because they keep coming, keep popping up in our memory. And many times we start singing bhajan, then that song, the movie song comes in our mind. So why this happens? Because it deeply penetrated our brain and that those grooves are very deep. So this, whatever we enjoy actually, we remember till last second of our life and they never go away. So actually we should not have this propensity of enjoying this material life, rather, because much more enjoyment is with Krishna, not in this material world. The enjoyment is in the spiritual world. And the spiritual world is much more bigger than this material world. The material world is only 1/3, and 2/3 is the spiritual world. So we can imagine that this is very small part. And this is just like a prison house. For us, Krishna sends us that, okay, now you want to enjoy without me, you go and suffer there. And when you want, then we have to do our sadhana bhakti. When we are in the human form of life, take full advantage of this and desire only for Krishna bhakti. So Krishna gets happy and then we can go back to him. After the dissolution of a particular body, the individual soul forgets everything. So once this dissolution takes place, like after the Brahma's one day or Brahma's life time, at that time, actually individual souls, lies down there, he forgets everything. But the merciful Lord actually, he doesn't forget our desires. He says this soul has these desires. So mercifully, Krishna comes up again and he reminds us that you were desiring this thing. Now you fulfill in this. Okay, you want to live naked. So now I am making you the tree. So you can stay naked there for many, many years. So we can imagine, how Krishna fulfills all single jiva soul's desires. So Krishna knows everyone's desires and he reminds them and he gives the body accordingly. The Lord who is situated in everyone's heart as the witness or the super soul. So Krishna actually, as Bhagavad Gita says, he is the Upadashta Anumanta, Bharta Bhakta Maheshwara. So he is actually overseer Upadrashta and he is Anumanta. He permits, he's a permitter and overseer. So he sees all our activities. He's also, along with our soul, his super soul is there in our heart and but he doesn't create any trouble for us. He just watches and sees, and sometimes he permits different things, but he doesn't interfere with our desires, wishes. He tries to fulfill them. So, like a father, many times children cry, and then mother, father, even though they do not want to fulfill their desire, but still they give. Like sometimes they want candy or they want ice cream, and father, mothers knows that it's not good for him, but still sometimes they give. So similarly, Krishna also, being our supreme father, he tries to fulfill our desires. But Krishna sees, he stays in the heart as witness, as the super soul. The super soul awakens him and reminds him of his past desires, and thus he begins to act according in his next life. So when Krishna reminds us, what were our desires, and he gives us body according to that, and then when we take new birth, new body, then we try to fulfill all our remaining desires. So that's why awakens him and reminds him of his past desires, and thus he begins to act to the accordingly next life. The unseen guidance. So Krishna gives us guidance which is unseen. We don't know how this intelligence came in us actually, but it is given by Krishna. So what to do, what not to do. So Krishna gives us that kind of intelligence. So this is unseen guidance. Is described as fate. Sometimes we say, oh, this was in my fate, in my prarabdha, so this thing is happening, so that's why we put it as prarabdha. And a sensible man can understand that this continues his material bondage in the three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature. So actually this is Tattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Actually, these all three, a sensible man can understand that what is going on with me. But a person who is fully engaged in trying to enjoy this material life, he will never understand that what is going on. So the unconscious sleeping stage of the living entity just after the partial or total dissolution of the creation is wrongly accepted as final stage of life by some less intelligent philosophers. So Prabhupada is writing here that philosophers which are less intelligent, they think, that when this body finishes, it finishes. And that's it. Like after dissolution, nothing is there. We totally forget everything. But no, our soul never gets disappeared. Soul is eternal and it comes back in the new creation. So they wrongly accept that this is the final stage of life. There is no life after that. But after the dissolution of the partial material life, the living entity remains unconscious for only few months. So when partial annihilation comes, the body comes back much sooner than when there is total dissolution. So after the total dissolution of the material creation, he remains unconscious for many millions of years. Actually, it's a trillions of the years he lives unconscious. But when the creation is again revived, he is awakened to his work by the Lord. So when the creation is again revived, like when that all 23 elements actually get together and the Lord glances at the Prakriti, so they get all the 23 elements get active, and then all the Jiva souls awakens and start working. So this is the thing. So we can read in the third canto about what we are reading. Later on, we will read about the life of Devahuti, and Kardamuni and Mother Devahuti. So the brahmachari life, grahastha life, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So there are different ashrams, and we should see, many times, people think, the brahmachari life is very good. Grahastha life has so many problems. But actually, it doesn't matter what kind of ashram we are in, but we can do the bhakti properly. We may see in the Mahajans, out of 12 Mahajans, 7 are Grahasthas. So Grahastha life is not bad. And Grahasthas actually supports all three other ashrams, Brahmachari and Vanprastha and Sannyas. So these ashrams are supported. So it doesn't matter actually whether we are Brahmachari or Grahastha or Vanprastha. We should concentrate on our bhakti. The living entity is eternal, and the wakeful state of his consciousness, the wakeful state of his consciousness manifested by activities is his natural condition of life. So the activities are natural condition of our life. We can do activity for the spiritual life or for the material life, whatever. But we have to be active in this life. We cannot stop acting while we are awake. So while we are awake, we have to act, we have to work. Thus act according to his diverse desires. And we act according to our different desires. If we desire to serve Krishna, we can act according to that. Or if we want to enjoy this material life and our desires all to enjoy this material world, then we act according to that. When his desires are trained in the transcendental service of the Lord, when we are properly trained by Guru and Vaishnavas, then life becomes perfect. That's perfect life. Actually, Prabhupada is writing here, and he's promoted to the spiritual sky. After the transcendental activities, whole life we do nice activities, then we are promoted to spiritual sky to enjoy eternal awakened life in the spiritual world. So that is best for us. So Bhagavad Gita says, Yad Gatvana Nivartante Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. So we have to actually strive for the spiritual world. So from where there is no miseries, there is all the music, all the words, what we say, in the form of music. When people walk there, in the spiritual world, they are like dancing. So there is no anxiety at all whatsoever. So it's a very pleasant life. The happiness is much more better than we become happy for a few minutes or a few hours, and then again miserable. So this is miserable world actually we are living in, and we should have the proper desire to go to spiritual world. And Prabhupada is giving us all, and Krishna is giving us chance, giving us this rare human form of life, that we can take full advantage of this lifetime. Whatever stage, whatever age we are, just give this life to Krishna. That's why Prabhupada advised many times that we should give our life for Krishna, just one life, and our life will be successful that way. So I will end here. Somebody has any comments, questions, we can discuss it now. Thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna. Matridhati Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. It was a wonderful class, Prabhu. I have one little question. There is any difference between the desire and the necessity?
Of course, there is difference. Necessities are the minimum necessities, and but there are desires are so many. Necessities, once you do it, done. But desires, one desire comes, you try to fulfill that desire, and then again 100 more desires comes. Desires never finishes. Necessities can be taken care. We need the tablecloth. We just buy the tablecloth, and that necessity is done. Or we need food. We eat, we get satisfied, and that necessity is done. But desires they never finishes. Yes.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Anyone has any comments, questions, anything? Otherwise,
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You explained a lot of things and how to live and what we should look for it. So all these things are very, very much morning we have to, that morning, early morning, getting up, Brahma Muhurta, getting up. Of late, the generations, they're not doing that much, no? But that was very tough, but it's very good. So at 4 o'clock, getting up and praying God. That was very, very nice thing. But later, these generations, I don't think they are doing that. Not even India or here or wherever it is. So
in India, Mataji is worst. I have seen my own relatives, they get up 9, 10 o'clock, Then they brush at that time, it's already Rakshas Muhurta is started, So best thing to do in Brahma Muhurta, actually, our mind is fresh. We can concentrate more.
Calm and quiet at that time.
Very calm and quiet. And we are not doing anything at that time, no phone calls comes, nothing, no bothering you. So that is the best time to finish our chanting. And Krishna will be very happy if we chant with concentration and paying attention to the chanting.
Unfortunately, it's not happening, but that was a very good time. Yeah, at 4 o'clock when I get up, it's quiet and it's calm and quiet. Like you said, these cell phones and the phones, they won't bother at that time.
Yeah. Nobody's bothering at that time.
Yeah.
It's a very good time.
Yeah, a lot of things, Prabhu, they're changing. But the way you said it was very, very good, and how much we can tell this younger generation, we don't know. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we can end here now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Namah. Hare Krishna.
Anant Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much.